Have you ever stopped to wonder why some people can solve challenges that leave most others lost? It's not just luck or intelligence. It's a rare skill that combines quickness, attention to detail, and a different way of seeing the world. Curious, isn't it? While many stumble over the same mistakes, these quick thinkers find solutions where no one else sees a way out. It almost seems unbelievable, but the secret lies in noticing what most people ignore. What if I told you that you can train this skill? That there are challenges only truly fast people can conquer? Get ready to discover interesting facts, curiosities, and mysteries that will change the way you think, and maybe turn you into that quick person you've always wanted to be. Lots of people love mysteries, especially when they involve something dark like a crime. Picture this. A big, fancy dinner party filled with famous faces. Everyone's laughing, eating, raising glasses. Everything looks normal, until a well-known celebrity suddenly collapses. Jason. But who did it? Everyone starts to panic. And then you notice something curious. There's a woman in the corner wearing gloves. Nobody else is wearing gloves. It seems small, but that's the kind of clue that can solve the whole case. Gloves aren't just for fashion. They hide fingerprints. It's an interesting fact that in real crimes, people who plan things carefully avoid leaving any trace. This woman might seem elegant, but her gloves tell a different story. While others show emotion, she stays calm. Why? Because she already knows what happened. She made it happen. Now let's go to a park where a guy named Alex was attacked. There were no cameras, no clear witnesses. But Alex remembers one detail. The attacker was left-handed. First, that sounds useless. But here's a curious detail. Only 10% of people in the world are left-handed. That already cuts down most suspects. And what if Bernie, Alex's friend, is one of those 10%? Suddenly, things feel strange. Could a friend do this? In mysteries, trust can be tricky. The left-handed clue isn't just random. It's powerful. A small detail, something most people wouldn't even care about, becomes the key to the whole situation. That's the beauty of these puzzles. One tiny fact can turn the story upside down. It's how real detectives work too. They don't just look at what happened, they ask, "What's odd here?" That's what makes these mysteries so fun and interesting. They make you look closer. A glove, a hand, a strange look. All of it starts to matter. You stop living on autopilot and start noticing the world around you. People who love solving mysteries train their minds to catch what others miss. And once you start thinking like this, everything changes. Even everyday life feels like a puzzle waiting to be solved. And if you think these clues are tricky, just wait until we enter a haunted castle where someone's trying to poison a meal. But no one knows which one. Things are about to get even stranger. Imagine walking through a creepy, dark castle. The lights flicker, the walls creak, and the air feels heavy. A fancy dinner is set on a long table, with plates full of food. Everything looks tasty. But here's the catch. One of the meals is poisoned, and no one knows which one. Now that's a real mystery. You look around and see one plate with a strange liquid under the meat. It's just a small detail, but it feels off. That's the kind of clue that can save someone's life. Here's a curious fact. In real history, kings and queens used to have people taste their food first to avoid being poisoned. Because poison was one of the most common ways to kill someone quietly. In stories like this, noticing something small like a weird sauce could be the difference between life and death. Now picture an airport, full of people rushing to catch flights. There's a warning going around. A dangerous fugitive is trying to escape. But no one knows what she looks like now. Why? Because she changed her appearance. The only hint is that she recently dyed her hair. So now you have to scan the crowd, looking for something that doesn't match. Maybe someone has strange roots showing, or their passport photo looks a little different. It's a curious game of spot the difference. And that's what makes these mysteries so fun. They test how much we really notice. A woman in a hurry, looking nervous, touching her hair too much. Maybe that's not just anxiety. Maybe she's hiding more than just a bad dye job. Interesting fact. Disguises don't have to be perfect. They just have to make people look twice. And then comes the weirdest challenge of them all. A wedding with 3 brides, but only one is dangerous. Why? Because she's hiding a small bottle of poison. They all look happy, all dressed in white. But something feels wrong. One bride keeps checking her bouquet. Another avoids hugging people. The third has a strange bulge near her waist. Tiny signs, but powerful ones. That's the fun part of solving these mysteries. Spotting what others miss. And just like in real life, danger doesn't always shout. Sometimes it hides behind a smile, a wedding dress, or a glass of wine. But wait until you see what happens when a woman uses a knife in a way no one expects. Now the mystery becomes even more intriguing. Imagine a woman living with a roommate. They share the kitchen, the sofa, the daily conversations. But behind this calm routine, something dangerous is happening. The woman plans to poison her roommate, but she doesn't want to leave any traces behind. So what does she do? She uses only one side of the knife to apply the poison. Yes, just one side. The other side remains clean, so no suspicion is raised. Sounds simple, but it's a clever plan. An interesting fact is that in many real-life crimes, the guilty don't use obvious force or violence. Instead, they rely on creativity and patience. This kind of puzzle shows how danger can lurk in the most ordinary places. A simple dinner can turn into a silent trap. And if you aren't paying attention, you might not even notice what's happening right under your nose. Right after that, there are images that test a different kind of attention. Hidden risks in everyday situations. In one, a girl sits at the edge of a boat, her feet almost touching the water. It seems like a normal scene until you realize she could fall any moment. In another, a woman stands close to a venomous snake without noticing it. Here, the mystery isn't about who is guilty but about who is in danger without even knowing it. These situations show something curious. Sometimes, danger doesn't come disguised as a villain, but as distraction. How many times have we walked close to risks simply because we weren't fully aware? This is a type of puzzle that tests how well you can spot what's wrong even when everything looks normal. These challenges are like mirrors of real life. Sometimes it's not about discovering who lied or stole, but about noticing warning signs all around us. What seems harmless might actually be the opposite. An ordinary knife sitting on the edge of a boat or a casual walk near nature. All of these can hide real dangers. And here's the interesting part of these curiosities. They train our brains to notice more, to question more, and even to protect ourselves better. Because in the end, what saves someone can be exactly what most people overlook. But this is just the beginning. The next puzzles involve disguises, transformations, and even choosing bridges that cross deadly places. Imagine an almost confusing scene. An elderly lady, deeply focused, mistakes a woman dressed completely in orange for a prisoner. At first glance, it seems like a funny, harmless mistake, maybe even a bit silly. But beneath this small error lies a curious mystery that teaches us the importance of paying attention to details to truly understand what's happening around us. Often, what we see is not exactly what it seems. Our minds tend to fill in gaps with assumptions, which sometimes can lead us far from the truth. This is an interesting fact in investigations. Confusing one person with another might be a vital clue pointing toward false identities, clever disguises, or even psychological tricks. The elderly lady, unaware, might be standing right in front of a key to unveiling a much larger truth. But the big question is, will she realize it in time? This scenario reminds us how easy it is to jump to conclusions, and how important it is to slow down and observe carefully, especially in tricky situations filled with mysteries. Now, let's move on to a puzzle that sounds like it came straight out of a fantasy movie. A shapeshifter who can escape by transforming into a bird. That sounds impossible, right? Yet, that's where the mystery becomes fascinating. The ability to change form, or at least to appear as if one changes, challenges everything we think we know about reality. It sparks curiosity and encourages us to think beyond what's obvious. If this were real, how could someone use this extraordinary ability to escape danger or avoid capture? The mystery invites us to wonder, is the secret in speed, in cleverness, or in something even more mysterious that we haven't yet figured out? These kinds of historical myths and legends are full of fascinating facts that keep our imagination alive. They show us how the line between reality and fantasy is often thinner than we think, and how these stories have fueled human curiosity for centuries. Exploring such mysteries expands our thinking and opens doors to new possibilities we hadn't considered before. Finally, let's tackle a challenge that demands careful reasoning and attention to detail. Choosing the safest bridge to cross a desert. First, it sounds simple. But the trick lies in the fact that one of the bridges crosses a poisonous lake. However, the water does not touch the bridge itself. So, which bridge should you choose? This riddle beautifully illustrates how tiny details can make a huge difference when making important decisions. It's curious how fear or assumptions can sometimes push us toward the wrong choice. What looks safe might actually be dangerous, and what seems risky could turn out to be the best option. These kinds of puzzles are not just games or mental exercises. They teach us valuable lessons about observation, logic, and decision-making. They remind us to question what we see and think critically before acting. And believe me, the surprises won't stop here. The next mystery will challenge your attention and reasoning skills like never before. In the end, the last puzzles test our sharp eyes like never before. Imagine a seaside party, a beautiful setting with music, laughter, and a big cake in the center of the table. Everyone eagerly waits for the moment to cut and eat the dessert. But the danger is where no one expects it. In the drinks, not in the cake. This is a curious fact that challenges common sense. When we think of poison, we often think about food, but sometimes the danger hides in something as ordinary as a drink. This shows how much details matter. If you pay attention, you can realize that danger can be disguised in the simplest things. And that is a valuable lesson, not only for solving puzzles but for life in general. Next, there is the story of a little girl named Livia, who is caught stealing something. She hides something in the pocket of her shirt right there in front of everyone. At first, it might seem strange or even funny, but there is an important lesson behind it. It's curious how people, even children, can act out of impulse or need, and how a simple gesture can hide a bigger story. This kind of mystery is not just about what was done, but about understanding the reason, the intention, and the circumstances. An interesting fact is that often, when we pay attention to small details, we can understand situations that at first seem confusing or even unfair. These last puzzles show us that solving mysteries is not just about finding the guilty person, but about noticing what is happening around us, who is in danger, and how small actions can have big consequences. The historical fact that poison can be in unexpected places reinforces the importance of keeping an open mind and looking beyond the obvious. And when we think about someone stealing, especially a child, we need to remember that actions are not always simple, and each gesture can hide a story worth knowing. True curiosity comes from trying to understand others, not just from pointing fingers. And if you thought these puzzles were hard, wait until you meet the next challenges that only quick people can solve. Attention, observation, and the speed to understand facts are skills that can change the way you see the world. After all, the curious person is not just the one who wants to solve mysteries, but the one who is willing to look with new eyes, question what seems right, and discover what is behind appearances. So, do you think you're fast enough to face these challenges? Paying attention to details and quickly connecting clues can be the difference between winning or being left behind. Curious to know the secret behind people who always seem to find the right answer? Can you see beyond the obvious and solve puzzles that confuse even the smartest? Think about it. How many times have you missed a clue that was right in front of you? Now is the time to change that. If you like this video, leave a comment telling us which challenge you found the hardest. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any content that will change the way you think. Let's uncover more mysteries and curiosities that only the quick can solve.